holds the Turkish Authority as responsible for the repercussions resulting from its blatant aggression on the Syrian territories. Syrian Arab Army eliminates many terrorists in the countryside of Der'a, Qunaitera and Lattakia. And British government reveals the disappearance of 3 UK female teenagers who had traveled from London to Istanbul and infiltrated into Syria to join ISIS. Good afternoon. Syria emphasized that Turkey has not only provided all forms of support for its tools of ISIS and al-Nusra groups, as well as other terrorist organizations linked to al-Qaeda, but it has also carried out a blatant aggression on the Syrian territory today. An official source at the Foreign and Expatriates Ministry said that despite the fact that on the eve of this aggression, the Turkish Foreign Ministry has informed the Syrian consulate in Istanbul about its intention to transfer the shrine of Suleiman Shah into another place, but it did not wait for the approval of Syria, according to the agreement signed in 1921 between Turkey and the authority of the French occupation at that time. The source added that what raises suspicion about the reality of the Turkish intentions is that this shrine is located in a region where ISIS spreads widely in Al-Raqqa governorate, and it has destroyed churches and shrines except for this shrine, which confirms the depth of links between the Turkish government and the terrorist organization. The source added that as a result of Turkey's violation of the provisions of this convention, the Turkish authority is held responsible for the repercussions of this aggression. Syrian Arab Army units secured the exit of scores of families from Douma area in eastern Ghouta who have fled the draconian rule of terrorist organizations in the area. Around 30 families made up of nearly 80 persons, mostly women and children, turned to a military checkpoint after they escaped terrorist organizations in Douma. All families were relocated to makeshift centers in Qudsiyya suburb in Damascus' western countryside and had their basic needs met. Takfiri terrorist organizations, among them the so-called Jaish al-Islam and al-Ummah, which have foreign mercenaries in their ranks, are active in Douma area in eastern Ghouta. Last month, an exodus of around 5,000 people who fled Douma, Jobar, al-Shifoniya, Mayda, Hawash al-Farra, Hawash al-Dawara and Hawash Nusra was prompted by monstrosities perpetrated by terrorists in these areas. The families were relocated to temporary housing centers where they were well accommodated. Syrian Arab Army continued its operations targeting terrorist gatherings in Aleppo and its countryside, killing dozens of them, injuring others, and destroying their hideouts, including weapons and ammunition inside. A military source said that Syrian Arab Army units destroyed several terrorist hideouts, killing many of them in Handarat camp and several other farms. In Der'a's northern countryside, especially in Abta and Da'al, Syrian Arab Army units conducted qualitative operations, killing many terrorists, injuring others, and destroying their hideouts. Meanwhile, Syrian Arab Army units destroyed a number of vehicles, killing all terrorists inside in Naba al-Sakhr Square in Qunaitera's countryside. Iraqi army has liberated al-Baghdadi district west of al-Anbar, repelling ISIS and controlling the road connecting al-Baghdadi with Haditha. Moreover, more than 170 terrorists have been killed in al-Anbar, Salahuddin and Ninawa, and the cache of Grad missiles has been destroyed in Baghdad's belt. Command of the military operations in Baghdad has said that commander of the so-called the Army of al-Rashidin has been detained northwest of the capital. Iraqi Vice President Nouri al-Maliki has accused Obama's administration of aiding ISIS to expand further inside Syria and Iraq and attempting to mislead the public opinion, considering that ISIS is the first beneficiary of Obama's irresponsible statements that reflect his administration's floundering. In a statement, al-Maliki said that the coalition's airstrikes targeting ISIS were just a public show, adding that Washington has committed a grave mistake by attempting to use ISIS and al-Nusra as tools to topple the Syrian leadership, which eventually contributed in the rise and empowerment of both terrorist organizations in addition to other terrorist groups. Former commander of U.S. forces in Europe and commander of NATO forces until 2000, Wesley Clark, stressed in an interview with the American channel CNN that ISIS is an American-made organization that is financed by Washington's friends and allies to strike the resistance axis in the region.
So you're in a little bit of a dilemma on that. We need to leave that kind of fuzzy on this, but we need the authorization to follow the leads, put the troops in, and play this. Look, ISIS got started through funding from our friends and allies, because as people will tell you in the region, if you want somebody who will fight to the death against Hezbollah, you don't put out a recruiting poster and say, you know, sign up for us, we're going to make a better world. You go after zealots, and you go after these religious fundamentalists. That's who fights Hezbollah.
But, General, I'm hearing you on...
It's like a Frankenstein.
The people we are fighting today, we funded 20 years ago. And let's go recruit these mujahideen, and let's get some to come from Saudi Arabia and other places, importing their Wahhabi brand of Islam.
Earlier, Syria's permanent envoy to the UN, Dr. Bashar al-Jaafari, said following an informal meeting held by the Security Council with the members of the so-called Independent Commission of Inquiry on the violations of human rights in Syria that the Syrian government has prepared a book of 500 pages, which includes information about the foreign terrorists that were killed in Syria in October 2013.
This is a book, an unusual book. 500 pages elaborated by the Syrian authorities on the foreign terrorists killed in Syria in the month of October 2013. 1 month, 2013, October. Foreign terrorists, only foreigners, coming from the same guys who are supposed to represent the Security Council and the Council on Human Rights, with photos, names, nationalities. These are some of them maybe were used as witnesses by this commission against the Syrian government. Many of them came from Jordan, who assumes the chairmanship of the Council on Human Rights, as you know. Many of them came from Saudi Arabia, from Libya, Tunisia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Australia, USA, Britain, France, Belgium, England, Germany, Italy. Who else? Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Kyrgyzstan, Lithuania, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Egypt, Palestinians, by coincidence, Lebanese, Canada. These are the Syrian opposition. These people, these foreigners, are the Syrian opposition that the Americans call moderate Syrian opposition. They are Australian, but they are moderate Syrian opposition. You like it, you dislike it, this is how the American presented. So these are Syrian legitimate opposition, democratic opposition, peaceful opposition. They may be Pakistanis, but they are Syrian opposition.
British police has said that 3 British female teenagers have traveled to Istanbul to infiltrate to Syria and join ISIS. A source at the British police has stated that the 3 female teenagers aged 13 and 16 years old left their homes without the knowledge of their families and traveled to Turkey. Earlier, members of the British House of Commons disclosed that the number of British citizens who joined the terrorist organizations in Syria and Iraq was estimated at about 2,000. General Commander of the Libyan Army in the battle against the terrorist organizations, General Khalifa Haftar, has pledged to continue the battle against terrorism till all Libyan territories have been cleared from it. In a response to Al-Qaba terrorist blasts perpetrated by ISIS claiming the lives of scores, Haftar said that the battle against terrorism would continue with even a greater momentum, as it is the right of the Libyan people to live in a peaceful and secure country. For his part, Libyan Premier Abdullah Al-Thani has said that head of the United Nations support mission in Libya, Bernardino Leon, was trying, backed by the US and Britain, to include extremist organizations like the Muslim Brotherhood in the National Reconciliation government that he was proposing. Court of Special Urgency Affairs in Alexandria City is to examine the case filed by Secretary General of Coalition of Long Live Egypt, Mr. Tariq Mahmoud, to label Qatar as a state that backs terrorism. The coalition accuses Qatar of interfering in Egypt's internal affairs by supporting the terrorist organization of Muslim Brotherhood logistically and financially to empower it to control the Egyptian state in return for empowering Qatar to control Egypt's external affairs. Moreover, the coalition accuses Qatar of colluding with the deposed President Mohammed Morsi to leak documents that have to do with Egypt's national security and support the Muslim Brotherhood to perpetrate terrorist attacks following June 30th, 2013. In Italy, a group of Syrian expatriate students and members of the European Solidarity Front for Syria organized a symposium under the title Together Against Terrorism. Saverio Di Giglio from the front hailed the steadfastness of the people, army and leadership of Syria in confronting terrorist organizations. Giglio reviewed in the course of the symposium, which took place in the Italian city of Foligno, the facts he bore witness to in Syria during an October visit among an Italian delegation and his vision of the situation after 4 years of war. He made a particular reference to the high spirits of the Syrian people and their unity with their army and leadership, and indicated the Syrians' confidence in an inevitable victory. With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region, and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Serena, but after a short break.